Welcome to Season 3 and Episode 10 of the Marketing Talk podcast produced by Landscape Leadership. I'm your host, Chad Diller. I'm the Director of Client Success here, and I'm also joined by our founder and CEO, Chris Heiler.
Hello, everybody.
If you own or work for a lawn care or landscape company, you are in the right place. This is where we share our candid thoughts as they relate to sales and marketing, so thank you for joining us. Chris, so I was digging through the basement yesterday, looking for something, and I stumbled across this box that I don't know why. I've always had this box where I take old technology, devices, things like that, and I put it in this box. Sometimes there's a reason, sometimes clearly there isn't a reason. So I thought I'd share some of the things that I found, because today we're going to be talking a little bit about technology in the green industry. So I just thought it'd be fun to take a little trip down memory lane. I don't believe this one was mine, so I don't even know how it made its way into the box. You can see this is an old AT&T Samsung phone. No keyboard, no touch screen. It's just that old school. Like when you wanted to text somebody, you had to commit. It was that T9. You like push it 3 times for a K, then wait, go to the next letter. Remember those?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had one of those.
Yeah. And then I was digging through and I found this gem. This is actually from high school. My mom gave it to me. Remember these? The old camcorders. This is an old Samsung camcorder, and didn't even have the flip out viewfinder or anything. Like this is old school 8mm tapes, and I actually have a whole box of 8mm tapes downstairs that my mom asked me to convert. So there might be some pretty interesting video clips on there for later.
You're a technology order,
I guess. And then look at this. So check this out. This isn't audio CDs. This is clip art.
Oh my God.
There's like 50 clip art CDs in here. In a prior life, I had a sign shop and we used clip art a lot. And now this could probably fit on the tiniest of all thumb drives.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then some of those devices, even a clip art you could put on there, eventually progressed to, it's broken, but it's my first one. Remember this? That's the old school, I think it's a second version or third version, iPhone 3GS, the curves. That was a nice little phone.
Wow.
Yeah. And now, of course, now we have these things, bigger iPhones that can basically like a supercomputer.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Trip down technology memory lane in my basement.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's funny. I started thinking back about my career, like over the last 20 years in the green industry and some of the old tech that we used to use.
Yeah.
I think even before Nextel, remember the beep, 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 like when you're in public constantly, even before that, we had the old 2-way radios where everybody could hear your whole conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sure in your prior life, you probably dealt a lot with this. I saw it as well, but actual blueprints, like real blueprints for landscape designs. Remember those? What's some other stuff do you remember within lawn and landscape industry that you used?
I remember when I was first getting started. So late 90s, I remember getting one of the first original digital cameras.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember how many pixels or whatever. But,
2.
It was one of the originals. And so it was this big clunky thing. I would carry it around to job sites, taking the pictures and everything. And then of course you got to go back and download those images, where today it's a heck of a lot easier with your just using your phone. You don't need that camera anymore. But at the time, that was a really big deal, having the digital camera. And then that reminded me of one of the first places I worked. It was a big design build company. And this was probably 2002, somewhere in there. So not that long ago.
No.
But they had all of their professional photography and images were on slides.
Oh, actual like slide projector slides?
Exactly.
That's old school.
So they had these books filled with these slides and they weren't organized very well. Maybe they were organized by client, if I remember right.
So how did you present those?
So we would bring the clients into the office and we would have the slide carousel in the conference room. And then beforehand, you would pick out the specific slides that you would want to show, put them in the carousel tray, and then sit there and click through the
Wow.
slides. And that was 17, 18 years ago.
Wow. We've come a long way in a short period of time, haven't
Yeah,
we? Yeah.
absolutely.
I always joke around. I wonder if we had a green industry technology museum, what the exhibits would be in there. Like, I think that's probably a few of them we talked about. That would be a kind of a fun thing to virtually walk through and
Oh
have a
yeah,
few
no doubt.
laughs. I think that the interesting thing with technology is there's all these early adopters that get on the wave way quicker than their competition and they kind of just blow them away. And then there's still some late to the party and some that just never get there. And today we wanted to talk a little bit about trends within the green industry, some technology that we see emerging and really becoming forefront. We're going to talk about several of those today. So why don't you kick it off and start talking about one of the things that's kind of near and dear to your heart that you're working on and also really admire?
So I'll start with e-commerce. This is something I think is going to be more and more important for companies in our industry. And our listeners understand this, right? We're all consumers and we're used to purchasing almost everything nowadays online, certainly products, right? Now you can go buy a car online. It's easy. And consumers expect to be able to purchase almost everything online. They expect that e-commerce kind of experience. I was skimming through LinkedIn this morning. Some of our listeners know Marcus Sheridan, and he posted a video and he had a quote that said, a new study shows that 33% of all buyers would prefer a seller-free sales experience. And for millennials, it's 44%. So think about that. 1 out of 3 people want a seller-free experience. Almost half of millennials want a seller-free experience. And to me, that means it's an online transaction, right? They want to go to the web and complete the transaction without having to deal with a real person.
I just heard a roar of a bunch of salespeople cussing really loud
Yeah.
as you
Right.
said that.
And also saying, oh, that'll never happen in our industry. That's impossible. Our industry is so different than every other one. Well, wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to happen in our industry. You can productize most any service and sell it on your website. Not every service, but there's a lot that you can productize and then sell it. And I was just thinking about a design build company. At a minimum, a company could be using their website to schedule and sell their consultations. Like if they're charging for a consultation, there's no reason someone can't schedule and then pay for their consultation on your website. No reason they can't do that. If you're selling the design work, there's no reason that transaction can't be done online on your website, even if it just means taking a small deposit.
Yeah. Instead of chasing them back and forth for a check and calling and asking
Right.
when they're sending it.
Right. Yeah. All of that can be facilitated online. And your customers and prospects expect that anyway. They want that.
Yeah.
So why aren't we providing that? So then the other services, installation related, that's all customized. So that's going to be more difficult to package and productize and sell that online. But at least those early steps, that can be handled online. And then if you think about maintenance services, you can create programs around a lot of your maintenance services that can be kind of packaged as a monthly subscription. Mowing services, irrigation service and repair, even seasonal color services. You can package these things.
Yeah.
And essentially sell them as a product on your website. Lawn care, that's even easier, right? You can bundle your fertilization, your weed control, your aeration. If you're doing some pest control in there, you can bundle these things into programs or products, right? And you can sell those as a monthly subscription right on your website.
Yeah, absolutely. There's even technology allows you to even provide customization in that with measuring lawns and doing all that sort of thing. There's an experience that you can provide.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, so that's selling services, right? Selling product is even easier than that. So if there's companies listening that are selling sod or they're selling any kind of hard goods, selling plants, it's very easy to create an e-commerce experience for that and then sell the product on your website. So our industry is a little bit behind on this, but I would say within 5 years, there's gonna be a lot of companies who've adopted the e-commerce approach. And it's one of the things that we're working on.
Yeah. And I have an interview coming up a little bit later in the podcast with Lisa Fiore from LandscapeHub, which actually is an e-commerce platform for suppliers, like you were just talking
Yeah.
about. So we're going to hear a little bit from her about that, and then also another topic that we're going to address here a little bit later in the podcast as well. Another thing that I've been seeing a lot of, often, maybe not in our industry, but if you look outside of our industry, is the way that companies and brands are using multiple channels to conduct marketing and sales conversations.
Mhm.
The old school was phone, or in person. That was it. That's all you could do. And then email came in, and some of that conversation happened back and forth on email. Then we had the advent of Facebook, Instagram, other social networks that started coming in, so you could have some communication going back and forth. People then started texting when you didn't get like 200 messages a month. When it went to unlimited, then you saw those consumer behaviors starting to interact, more conversations over text with account managers and business development reps. And as websites in that same frame started to provide forms and ways that people could reach out that way, that also provided a way for prospects to interact with companies. And then with websites, then you could connect in the texting part of that. So some websites you can see you can text people if you're on a mobile. And then there's the whole thing of live chat as well, where you can have somebody chatting with a representative on your website and asking questions and having a conversation. So this whole idea of multi-channel marketing and sales is a huge push. And the big point I'll leave you with is this: your customers want to do whatever's right for them.
Yeah.
And it can be different. It doesn't have to be your preference. And they want to interact on the platform, whether it's Facebook Messenger or email or chat or a form on the website. They want options. And you have to be able to adapt from a technological standpoint to be able to make that as seamless as possible for your team and your customers. So I'm seeing a lot of technology and integrations and other platforms that are sharing that ability.
Right. Yeah. And I've shared the example before, probably on the podcast, about my girlfriend. She searches out companies first on Instagram rather than going to their website, and she'll DM the business through Instagram rather than going to their website, filling out a form or anything like that. So that's her channel of choice, is Instagram. And she's not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of people like that. So what would you say is the channel that companies in our industry need to be more available in? Do they need to be more available via text or live chat on the website?
That's a really good question, because I've seen all kinds of stats and figures thrown back and forth. Of course, usually they're from platforms that offer texting
Right.
as a service.
Right.
They're saying like, you got to be available that way. I mean, I would say, wherever you're at, just move yourself to the next place, because it can seem a little overwhelming to say, okay, well, we got to be available on Instagram messages and Facebook messages and put live chat on our website and do all these things. Now, there are tools that unite a lot of that together. Like we use HubSpot for our clients, and you can message right through the website chat or Facebook Messenger, and it just kind of integrates it all together. But we could install texting plugins on the website and that sort of thing too. But I would say wherever you're at, tackle the next horizon and then move on to the next one. So I would say, I think Facebook Messenger is probably, like, you're late to the party if you're not communicating with your clients on Facebook. I think within the demographic that most of our clients serve, which is Gen X and maybe a little bit before and a little bit after, like that's the target customer.
Yeah.
They're well acquainted with messaging businesses on Facebook. And a lot of times I message a business, you get a reply, and then you never hear from them. So
Yeah.
if you're not doing that and you don't have a solid plan for that, that's the next one. And then after that, maybe add text. But again, you have to think this through, and who's responding and what's your process, and do all that.
Right.
And live chat, I feel like, is probably the easiest to integrate. So that's probably one that I would also consider probably a front runner.
Yep. Okay. And I would say, I would make a point about Facebook Messenger and even Instagram. You just need to be available. So have the account be available, let people reach out to you through that. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time or invest a lot of time in sharing things on Facebook. We're talking about just being available on there if people are reaching out and want to connect with you on there.
Right. Be responsive.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about chat, and I think a lot of times companies are really overwhelmed by that because they're like, listen, I have to be here. And when I hear a ding, I got to be on. And what if we're in a meeting? Or what if I'm on the phone with someone else? Or what if I'm just talking to, my colleague about a project next to me? And they get overwhelmed by live chat. But there's some pretty cool things as far as artificial intelligence, which they call them chat bots.
Yeah.
We've probably all been on them in different websites, and there's good and bad. Like, you have to engineer it right. But even just using AI to your advantage of having a chat bot start the conversation and collect a couple pieces of information and then pass it off. Like, because you can funnel it. Like, if it's a service related chat, you could funnel it to one person. If it's a sales, you could funnel it to someone else. And so AI is really cool how that's integrating in chat. And I know that you have some other uses as well that you wanted to talk about.
So my next trend, artificial intelligence. So you guys have seen this. So more and more companies are utilizing AI. Sometimes you just don't notice it. And again, our industry is a little bit behind, but that's okay. So you see this on Amazon. They were one of the leaders in this, along with some other e-retailers, right? Amazon uses AI for their recommendations. I saw this in education recently. Charlie's doing his online school. And a few weeks ago, well, probably longer ago than that, at the beginning of the year, he had to do a math assessment. So the math assessment, it used AI, and then based on his score, it recommended his curriculum or his lesson plan. So the lesson plan for Charlie was different than some of the other students, and it was all based on their scores. So there's some AI at work going on there behind the scenes, which I thought was kind of interesting. You see this in marketing more and more. The AI, like with HubSpot, we use that with all of our clients. You mentioned HubSpot has some AI that helps choose the best time to send emails to people. It has AI that it uses to score leads based on prospects' actions on your website. So they're using artificial intelligence in a lot of different ways. Some of you probably have the Roomba that uses artificial intelligence. These robotic mowers that are becoming more popular, that's built on artificial intelligence. So it's coming, no doubt. For our clients, like you mentioned, we're looking at using chatbots. That's the thing that's on our radar at the moment. So a visitor comes to the website, they can engage with a chatbot instead of someone on live chat or trying to find everything on a static web page. And you kind of described how all that works. But again, I think within the next 5 years, you're going to see these chatbots on a lot of different websites.
Yeah. And I think when we look at technology trends and tools, it's easy to see out of the box what you use them for, what most people are using them for. So you talked about chatbots, and I use the example of kind of like finding out what they want and passing it off. That's one use. But there's so many different ways that you can use technology. The thing I love about those chatbots is if you can build if logic. If they want this, give this option. If they want that, give them this option. You can have a really valuable conversation. We built out one on our website. Go to landscapeleadership.com and go to our clients page. And there's an automated chat, a little bot that I built, that if you answer a couple questions, it actually will direct you to one of our clients that's the most like your company.
Yeah.
So there's all these different practical uses that AI, specifically with chatbots, that you can utilize. The other thing that I see in our industry kind of lagging behind, but some recent activity that's encouraging, is the whole idea of integrations. And when I say integrations, I mean you have two different systems, two pieces of software, and they integrate on some level. And you can use the best of both worlds through one or both of those platforms. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. I know a lot of people, hardworking people that have developed these industry software programs, and they're good people. The programs are good things, but they don't do everything well. Like there's this core competency group of features they do really well, but then they kind of have a partial solution for something else. And my thing is integrate with somebody that's already figured this out. So some of these integrations, some of you might actually be using them already. And some of these software programs actually have started to integrate with them. Is the first one is probably the most common is electronic signature,
Mm-hmm.
where you can actually get someone to sign that contract, maybe in DocuSign or HelloSign or something like that, and it actually integrates with the program that you're using. The other one, and this has probably got really popular over the whole pandemic thing, is actual meeting links, like a virtual link. Calendly is a popular solution. Like you said, our clients use HubSpot. So within part of that platform, there is a meetings tool. And again, think out of the box with this because we think, okay, booking a meeting, just that's what we think about it. But you can use this to schedule a phone call. We have a client that's a design build contractor. And as soon as someone finishes filling out a consultation form, which often is at night when they're not there, we prompt them to book a 15-minute project discussion call with the landscape designer and put it right on their calendar. So there's none of this like tag team back and forth trying to get a hold of people and schedule something.
Right.
This is another one probably with the pandemic that you've seen is video meetings. And if you use like Google Calendar, and I think Outlook probably even has this, you can actually insert video meetings pretty easy. So like on my Google Calendar, because I have Zoom, I can put a Zoom link in there, and that's an integration with that product. And again, Google offers video meetings, so they're not afraid to integrate with another
Yeah.
platform.
Right.
It's not a matter of like, oh, well, I'm afraid if someone uses that, they won't use it. Nobody's going to stop using Gmail and Google Calendar because Zoom has a meeting tool.
Yeah.
They might just allow them to use what they prefer. There's a lot of things, even within the last few weeks, that I'm really excited about in the green industry as far as integrations are concerned. We're exploring some business software that actually integrates by allowing you to send leads to them. Like we said, we use HubSpot to host the website and do all the marketing activities for our clients. And people fill out a form and we get all this rich information, but it doesn't send it to these platforms because until recently, a lot of them have been very closed. They don't want anybody putting any information in their system. And so now we're exploring, there's the couple of them that we're building out these integrations where it actually puts the information into that system, which is going to save our clients a lot of time. And excited about that. Back in January, I went to the Lawn and Landscape Technology Summit. And right before the pandemic, we can actually have actual conferences and meetings. And it was a great summit. A lot of good presenters there talking about technology. And one of the people that I bumped into was someone that I got to know pretty well from going to the NALP Leaders Forum. And her name is Lisa Fiore. For those of you who don't know Lisa, she's been in the industry for a while. Her family had a very successful nursery and landscape material supply company in the Midwest. And Lisa wanted to create a digital marketplace for her clients to be able to buy products. And what happened is that morphed into something so much cooler, into this product called LandscapeHub, which is a digital marketplace that connects buyers and sellers all across the country for landscape products. And so I'm going to share a little bit of my interview with Lisa to talk about that product briefly, but also to share some really exciting things about software innovations and integrations in the green industry. Hey, Lisa. So it's great to see you again.
Good morning, Chad. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
The last time we saw each other was in sunny Florida in, I believe it was January, right before the craziness of 2020 started to happen. So it's good to see your face again and talk to you for a little bit. I was reminiscent to our conversation as Chris and I were preparing this podcast because you and I think we're like tech junkies. Like we love technology and we like talking about what if you could do this or what if you could do that. I think one of the stories that inspires me specifically in the lawn and landscape industry is the story of LandscapeHub, how it helped you solve a problem. So why don't you tell our viewers and listeners what Landscape Hub is and how it came to be and what it is now.
Sure. So just to call out though, I don't know if I'm a tech junkie as much as I am as just, I like things done more efficiently. I think I'm driven by efficiencies. And that's ultimately why I think technology is such a solution to drive efficiencies. So my background, I grew up in the nursery and landscaping space. My family has had a nursery in the Chicagoland area for over 100 years. And I took over the family company around 2010. And it was during that time that I started to think about building a software for my family's company to manage the supply chain. For landscapers out there, everyone knows suppliers, nurseries, and dealers and distributors, they are really great at providing amazing service and products, but none of them really are equipped to serve their clientele digitally. And the supply chain from where I was sitting was just inefficient, and it required a tremendous amount of investment of time and resources to manage the supply chain. The idea of LandscapeHub originally was a software for my family's company. Then the idea obviously morphed into, wait a minute, we could actually build a software that could solve an industry problem as it related to the supply chain. And so that's the origin of it. Then I left the family company to really build it and pursue it. And here we are today, 3 years later.
Yeah, it's been exciting to watch the last couple of years that we've gotten to know each other about how people are talking about Landscape Hub. And one of the things that I also appreciate is your perspective as a software company to what I would say play well with others. I think one of the things that we were talking about in January, it was me and you and one of my clients who were sitting around, and I was just griping about how there's all these great platforms in our industry and everybody wants to try to do everything. And that means that sometimes there's certain facets of their product that they don't really do that well. And then they won't integrate with another platform that is doing it well. So when you set out to build Landscape Hub, you might have had that temptation at some point in time, but I know that you've made some progress as it relates to integrating with other software platforms, right?
Yep. Yeah, so we're a marketplace. So we provide a sales channel for the suppliers, and we provide tools to the buyers. We provide them with tools to help estimate and procure, all with the goal to do it better, to do it faster, to do it more efficiently. And so our goal from the beginning was to be very agnostic, right? We get buyers and suppliers telling us all day long, we're so short on these tools and those tools. Can you build them, Landscape Hub? And we've been very resolute from the beginning that we want to provide efficiencies around estimating, procuring, and fulfillment. And so our goal, we think we can provide the most value by being open and agnostic to allowing other software providers, whether it be POS systems or inventory management systems that our suppliers are using, or be it ERP systems that our buyers are using. We want to be open to those systems. The whole vision around Landscape Hub is to connect, to digitally connect everybody and to string together this whole supply chain in a digital connected way. And we've built this platform that allows us to plug into those systems. And it's funny, we can't plug into those systems unless those systems are open to doing that. And we get calls, if not daily, definitely weekly, from contractors out there asking about, are you going to be integrating with our software? And if their software provider isn't on our product roadmap, we say, hey, they're not on our roadmap today, but certainly go out and reach out to them and let them know that you want them to connect with Landscape Hub. These contractors want Landscape Hub to integrate with their system because it allows them to pull in relevant market pricing and relevant market availability around plants. Now we haven't ventured into the hard lines yet. We're just primarily plant focused today, but we can provide relevant data into their systems that they don't have. And so that's why contractors, once they understand and learn about what Landscape Hub can provide for them, that's when the whole idea of integrations, they get excited about it.
Yeah, I remember my days of selling, you would sell a job and then you would get in trouble later because you're like, hey, that tree doesn't cost that much. You undercharged by $75 and you have 20 of these on this project. And now all of a sudden you're looking at a horrible profit. So as a salesperson, it's great to have that live data, that relevant real data in there. So I can totally understand from a financial perspective, from a company owner and a controller, how they would love to see that kind of integration with their estimating software. How can we drive this conversation forward? Because I think there's two facets of this. There's what do we do as users in the industry, people that work at lawn and landscape companies, to drive this conversation and this demand for this integration? And then what else would you have to say for other technology solutions that are out there that might be worried about allowing information into their system or out of their system?
I think folks like you and I, have the obligation to evangelize and inform and educate everybody around the benefits. Like, what are the benefits of embracing technology and making sure all the technology that you're embracing are talking to each other so you can leverage and really maximize those tools. So I think folks like us and other industry people that are selling technology or are representing technology, we need to really beat the drum. And then those users, the adopters in the space, many of your clients are very cutting edge, much more leaders in the industry, innovators in the industry. Those people need to beat the drum and help educate and help this dialogue, because this industry, it's all built on relationships, and people are more apt to adopt something when they know someone that they trust and admire have adopted it. And so I think it really starts with folks like us and other folks to really speak about the value. And then the people, once they adopt this technology, they need to stay informed and educated on what else they could bring into their day-to-day operation. What other tools can they incorporate to drive more profitability, drive more efficiencies, or whatever. And then they need to make sure the products that they're buying or contemplating buying are not just built and designed for the job today, but are built and designed for the job tomorrow, which will 100% certainly involve being open, being agnostic, being fluent in connecting with other systems. That's just the future. And so I think there's so many people that are buying new softwares today. I get calls all the time. I'm considering switching. Who should we talk to? And in those conversations, I say there's a tremendous amount of options out there, and all of them provide different attributes that are going to meet the need of a unique organization. You need to go through that whole process of determining what's best for you. But I always impart, it's super important that whatever it is you're getting is open. Because you might get a great system that does amazing scheduling for crews, but doesn't allow an outside CRM to be brought in. And that business might be driven, their future growth might be driven with sales. So it's critical that any system you're buying today is flexible enough to talk and integrate with other systems, because that's the future.
I agree. You used that word evangelize, and I just wanted to jump up and yell amen like in the middle of that. So thank you. We're speaking the same language. You're preaching to the choir. So the conversation is moving. I think I've seen more in the last year and a half than I've seen in the last 10 years. So it's exciting to see that, and exciting for you guys as your platform's taking off and more of us are talking about why this is so important. So I would encourage you, if you're a landscape company and you are struggling with procurement and getting the right prices and estimating and having that live data, to check out LandscapeHub.com for Lisa and her team's product. It's really exciting. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. I appreciate your perspective.
I appreciate it too, Chad. It's been a great journey, and commend you and your team with what you're doing, because I know the digital marketing side of the world is also finally coming into play, and this space needs to grab that and embrace that for their future growth. So love what you're doing, and I appreciate you bringing me on today.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. Take care. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed Chris and my discussion about the emerging technology trends in the green industry, and also the interview with Lisa Fiore from LandscapeHub. Really, this is up to you to drive this in our industry. You either, for your company, decide that you're going to continue to fail and take tons of different pieces of technology and try to make them work, or you're going to find ones that are integrated and find the best tools, the new tools that are out there that can solve these common sales and marketing problems, and use them to take your company to the next level. Thanks so much for joining in with us today. If you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast, I'll encourage you to share it on social media or wherever you're finding it with your industry peers. And stay tuned, because in the next few weeks, you're going to find another episode of the Smarketing Talk podcast. If you have any questions about the tools or any other general questions, you can feel free to contact Chris or myself on our website or hit us up on LinkedIn. Thanks a lot. Have a really great day.